Honestly, I think I'm coming back around to my fantasy era. Just it looks like a dragon to me. Good afternoon. Today is a very good day because today I have got basically the entire day allocated for bookish things. It's a bookish day today. I feel like the last few weeks have been very chaotic, so I'm really craving like a bit of a reset. And I always love doing like home resets and life resets, but I've never once done before a bookish reset. And so I'm very excited for that. And because, you know, when I do a reset, I have to make a to-do list. So I've made a bit of a to-do list for today. Hopefully I'm gonna get this all done today. If some of it doesn't happen today and some of it ends up needing to happen tomorrow, that's fine, but we're gonna aim for it all being done today. Because honestly, it's just so nice having a day that I can just wholly allocate to just having like a lovely bookish day. But it's already halfway through the day, so we'll see how we go. Okay, first things first. I want to do a book haul. This is definitely the most fun thing on the list for sure. I think I mentioned it in last week's bookish video that I'm starting to run out of books on my physical TBR, which I feel like is a very rare problem to have. Normally the problem is that I have way too many books and I don't know how I'm gonna possibly get through them all. But this time I actually, like, it's running a little bit bare. So I wanna head to the shops, buy some books. I've got my eyes on a few that I've seen in the BookTube, BookTok world that like I really wanna get. So I'm gonna head to the shops, buy some books, which is so much fun. And then I also really want to do a bookshelf clean and a dust and make sure that just from like a cleanliness perspective, the bookshelf has had a bit of a once over. And then I also want to do an actual bookshelf reorganization. It's got a little bit chaotic lately where I've just been like pulling books off randomly. I've also lent out a couple that are now currently missing. Honestly, everything's just got a little bit unorganized. So I just want to reorganize it once I've given everything a proper clean. And then the next one I suppose is kind of linked to the haul. But once I've got my new books, I then kind of want to work out what are the books that I want to read for the rest of the summer. It's not me doing my August TBR, like I will do that separately. Just for like the next kind of 6-7 weeks of summery, sunshiny weather, what are the books that I want to read in this season? For those of you that have been around for a while, you'll know that I love living seasonally and I really treat the seasons as their own like experiences every year. And to be honest, I'm realizing that actually I'm applying the same kind of thing to the book world as well. Like I'm reading very summery books in the summer and I'm not reading books intentionally because I think they're more suited to other seasons. So I just want to work out what books I want to get through for the rest of the summer because I know that once the sunshine is gone, I then won't realistically end up reading those books for another year. I'm sure it won't be that black and white, but yeah, I just love being able to vibe read and mood read in the right seasons. So plan out the rest of my summer TBR. And then I also want to sit down and do a bit of just like a fun goal setting. Again, you know how much I love goal setting in like the rest of my life and doing a vision board and all that stuff. And I just would love to just review my kind of bookish goals and just build out what I want my goals to be for the rest of the year from like a book perspective. So those are the things on the list today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a to-do list with 5 things. Haul, clean and dust, reorganized, plan my TBR for the rest of the summer, bookish goals. Oh, and then there's a couple of, this is not necessarily a to-do list thing, but there's a couple of books that I want to review to you guys that I've read over the last week that I really enjoyed. So I want to tell you all about those as well so that you can add them to your summary TBR list if you'd like to. Okay, so that is the plan for today. First things first, I feel so low energy today, which is good because I've just got like a cozy bookish day. But last night we went to one of my best friends. It was a party for her graduating from university and it ended up also being a surprise engagement party because her boyfriend, or now fiance, proposed at the party and I knew it was coming and we kind of helped, like me and one of her other friends kind of helped organize all the balloons and everything. And I was so nervous about it and I just feel so like emotionally drained today. Like there's just so much excitement around such a big event like that, and especially because I knew it was coming. We were trying to make sure that we had like balloons that we could bring out once he did it, and he was doing it in front of a whole load of people, which is what she always wanted. She always wanted like a big public declaration, which is so not me, but it's so her. And I know that he was so nervous to do it that way, but it's what she's always wanted and he just did it perfectly. Anyway, this is not book related at all, but my energy is low today because emotionally there were just a lot of tears and excitement yesterday. So first things first, I need to get myself a very large coffee. I might even head straight out to the shops and get a coffee on the way and treat myself. That could be the thing to do. I will either do that or make my own. Anyway, let's crack on and get started with this list. Ugh, bookish days are just my favourite. Okay, we're here. I love going into a new one. I can't remember if I said this earlier. This is how like brain dead I feel like I am today until I've got my coffee. But we're going to a new bookshop that I've never been to before. It's still a Waterstones, but like in a new area. So I'm very excited because I feel like the bookshop that I kept going to, the other Waterstones, always had kind of like the same stock. And often I was going and there wasn't quite what I wanted there. So anyway, we're going to go and explore. And I don't think it's going to be a massive one. I think it's going to be quite little. So it might also not have loads, but I'm still very excited. A new bookshop is very exciting. And there looks like there's a very nice cafe next door. So anyway, let's go. I have no idea who I think I am, but I just spent £100 on books. £100 gone. This is without a doubt the biggest book haul that I've ever done, of just buying books in one go, for sure. Anyway, I think I got some really good ones, so let's just dive straight into it. Okay, I'm actually going to start with a couple that I ordered online because they didn't have them in store last time I went to go check. I think these arrived a few days ago. I'm kind of losing track of time. But I decided to buy my first Lauren Asher books. I haven't read any other Lauren Asher yet, so I'm actually going into both of these very blind because I really don't know anything about these books at all. But I have seen such good things about them, so I feel like I'm just diving in headfirst without really knowing enough about them. Oh, Lakefront Billionaires, that's what they're about. Okay, I accept. I absolutely loved Wild Love, which is obviously about a billionaire. And if I remember correctly, there is also like, I think there's also kind of like the single dad nanny trope, which is kind of like Heartless from Chestnut Springs. And we've got Lakefront Billionaires, which is a little bit Elsie Silver coded as well. So I'm very excited about these. Anyway, so I've got Love Redesigned and Love Unwritten, both of these. Very excited about that. Again, that's going to be entering Lauren Asher's universe for the first time. I haven't read any other Lauren Asher before. So if you've read her and you like some of the books, let me know which ones are your favorite, and if you've read those, what you thought. And then another new author for me is Elle Kennedy. Again, I haven't read any of her books. She seems to be kind of like the queen or one of the queens of sports romances, and I really haven't read any sports romance whatsoever apart from, I guess, one of the Chestnut Springs books is kind of like a sports romance, but I still kind of categorize that all in the cowboy romance kind of vibe. Anyway, so we've got The Graham Effect and The Dixon Rule, two of hers. I know that she's written quite a lot of books, but again, these are the two that I feel like I saw the most positive reviews about online, so I'm very excited about these. When I say I know nothing about these books, I really just dive in. I love not knowing a lot before I start, but it sounds like The Dixon Rule is all about a dancer and a hockey player, and The Graham Effect, which I think is the one that comes first actually before The Dixon Rule, is two hockey players. I think I knew that one actually. So anyway, I'm very, very excited about all of those. Now, everything I bought today. I feel like today's haul was quite good because I think there's a lot of variety in here, which is what I was looking for. It's what I wanted. All of those books, the Elle Kennedys and the Laura Nashes, I feel like they're very in theme of all the books that I've been reading so far this summer. We've got some more in here. Okay, where to even begin? I think I'm gonna get all of them out. We've got some chunky ones in here. Initially, all out of the bag. Right, where to even begin? Let's just start at the top. So I picked up You and Me on Vacation. This is now the only Emily Henry book that I haven't read, I believe. And I thoroughly enjoyed all of the others. Only one has been a 5-star, but none of them have been less than a 4. So I just know that they're all fantastic in my eyes. So I'm very excited to read this at some point. That kind of go on my romance pile. I also picked up Better Than the Movies. When I say that so many people rate this so highly, this is a YA romance, I believe. I'm pretty confident it's YA. And I've just heard so many fantastic things. I see people that do a lot of like annotating of their books, say that they're just some of the best quotes in here. So I'm really excited about this. And every time that I read a YA romance, I really love it. I think there's something so wholesome in it. And sometimes some books can kind of escape the plot or escape the connection by getting a bit smutty. I feel like there's more and more and more and more smut in some of adult romance books these days. And sometimes it's just so nice to have a bit of a palate cleanser with a YA romance where, I don't know, it just gets so like wholesome and lovely. So anyway, I'm very excited about reading Better Than the Movies. On the opposite end of the spectrum, not on the wholesome side of things, I also picked up Ali Hazelwood's new book, Not in Love. This came out extremely recently, I think literally within the last month, in the last 2 months. I've heard, I mean, obviously the front looks quite steamy, but I have heard that it's actually, I think there's mixed reviews. I think some people, I think there's always kind of mixed reviews around Ali Hazelwood's writing, or I always see quite mixed reviews. And it's an interesting one because I really love her writing style. I love the kind of like short sentences and the banter and the way that she writes humour and comedy into her books. But some of the plots and some of the depth is missing. So for example, I've only read 2 of her books so far, so I probably don't have the biggest sample to review from, but I loved Bride, which was her first book entering the fantasy world. But I didn't really love Love Hypothesis. I found that it just wasn't for me. I just felt like there was a lot missing from it. So I'm gonna try Not in Love because I have seen some people that also like Bride and didn't like the Love Hypothesis, enjoyed Not in Love. So I'm excited to read that as well. I actually think this will be a good one to read when I'm either in a bit of a slump or I just want something like quick to burn through. I really think that Ali's writing is a good one to just, the sentences are so short, everything runs quite quickly. So it's just easy to burn through a book that kind of then gets you back on the reading train if ever you're in a slump. So I got that as well. Okay, and then into some other ones that I got that are a little bit different. I picked up Fresh Water for Flowers. Now this book is so highly rated. My mum actually was raving about this book, and I always think that my mum has very good book taste. She's been in a book club for her entire life pretty much since she was in her 20s, so a very long time, and she said that Fresh Water for Flowers was absolutely incredible. And actually when I got to the checkout with all of these books, she literally said to me, oh my gosh, Fresh Water for Flowers is so good, I'm gonna give it to you for half price. Like, read it first, it's phenomenal. I mean, it does say over 1 million copies sold worldwide, and I know it's been longlisted for and shortlisted for a whole load of awards. So anyway, I'm really, really excited to read it. Mum normally likes books that are like slightly sad, which I'm not really one for enjoying books that are slightly sad, but I also know that when I do read the books that Mum recommends to me, they're always like genuinely really good, hard-hitting, emotional books that stay with you for a long time. So I expect this is going to be one of those. I just need to be brave and dive in and not spend all my time hiding in kind of surface level cowboy romances. But anyway, I'm very, very excited to read this. I also think the cover is absolutely beautiful. So that's a little bit of a different one to a lot of the other romances that I've got. And then you can probably see that I've got it right on top here. I also picked up Powerful, which is the little novella that comes after Powerless. And because I just couldn't stop myself, I also went ahead and got Reckless, which is the book that's just come out. I thought that it would only be out in hardback, but this is actually the paperback. And it's got these incredible sprayed edges, and if I'm not mistaken, it's a special edition because there's a little postcard that comes in with it. Oh my gosh, those quotes already sound so good. And I haven't even read the first one yet. There's a little postcard that came in with it, and I'll use that as a bookmark for sure. So anyway, I haven't started Powerless yet, but I have decided that I am gonna start it. It's gonna actually be the next book that I read. So now I've got Powerful and Reckless here, and I'm actually also gonna do a tandem read with Powerful and Powerless, I think, because I just loved the Throne of Glass tandem read so much. Any excuses I can possibly have to do tandem reads in other books in the future, I'm doing it. It was so much fun. Anyway, so I got both of those. I'm just diving in. Obviously, if I end up hating Powerless, that's going to be a little bit awkward that I've just spent this money on these 2 books, but I really think I'm gonna love it. Or every time I see quotes from it, they sound so up my street. I'm so ready for a fantasy again. It's been so long since I've read one, so anyway, got the full set for those. And then sticking on the fantasy train, I also picked up When the Moon Hatched. This is quite a chunky hardback, but I've also heard such fantastic things. Sorry, this is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, and I've heard really fantastic things about it. Again, I don't know loads about the actual story, about an assassin, a rebellion, got a proper complicated looking map. We love fantasy books with a map. Honestly, I think I'm coming back around to my fantasy era. It looks like we've got dragons on the front. I don't know if they're actually dragons or if they're some other creature, but it looks like a dragon to me. And then I also picked up The Ministry of Time. This, I believe, is a time traveling romance, so it's kind of sci-fi-y, I guess. And if I remember correctly, I'm gonna have to actually read it to find out. It's about, is that the government moves populations of people from different times where populations need redistributing or something along those lines. I probably completely butchered that. So a group of people from like the 1800s, for example, were brought into present day and a romance develops between somebody from the past and the future. I believe that's what this is about. Anyway, very excited to try it. Ministry of Time. And then the final book that I got, which is a completely different one for me, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's my first graphic novel, which is Heartstopper by Alice Osman. I can confidently say I have never read a graphic novel before. I was never even really into like cartoons as a child much. I was more into novels. I always read novels, even when I was younger, and they were very basic ones. But I'm really excited to read Heartstopper. I've seen that it's on Netflix. I haven't actually seen the Netflix show, but apparently it's just so wonderfully wholesome, and it's a high school romance. On the back it says, boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. And that's all it says on the back. And yeah, I'm really excited to try it. Like I said, my first ever graphic novel. And then if I really enjoy it, I think there's quite a few books. I think there's 5 books, maybe even more. And then if I really enjoy it, I might also watch the Netflix show as well. But yeah, if you've read Heartstopper or if you're a fan of graphic novels and have read other ones, then let me know what you think of them, because it's definitely going to be a new experience for me. And that is everything. So I got 1 graphic novel. I got 4 that are technically kind of sci-fi / fantasy, 1 literary fiction, and then, goodness me, Ellen, control yourself. And then today, technically 3 romance, which means I bought more fantasy than I did romance, which is impressive. But if you can include the other 4 that I bought this week with the Lauren Asher and the Elle Kennedy books, then that's 7 romance books, new ones. I definitely have a favourite genre, don't I? Anyway, that is all the books that I got. I feel like that's such a good haul. That is definitely the best book haul I've done in so long. Literally every single one of these, which I suppose is the way it has to be if you buy books. You've got to be looking forward to reading them. But yeah, I'm so excited about these. I'm very excited to get them onto my shelf. I've actually got a meeting with Cameron now for an hour. We're going to meet and discuss wedding stuff because we need to start making some decisions. So we're going to go do that for an hour, and then I'm going to come back and start organising this bookshelf, give everything a proper dust and a clean, and then start organising all of the new books onto the shelves. Okay, I will be back very shortly. Several hours later, I honestly can't tell you how shook I am at my own naivety when it comes to the costs involved in planning a wedding, throwing a wedding, hosting a wedding. It's just mind-blowing. Anyway, we're having very productive conversations. I'm very proud of Cameron and I so far. I feel like we're tackling it all very sensibly, but it is blowing our minds how much it costs. And then it's quite like a depressing conversation because you see all these things and you're like, oh yeah, I've always wanted that, I've always wanted that. And then it comes to the realities of the costs. And I think the first part of wedding planning, I can imagine now I'm having the naivety beaten out of me. I can imagine that a lot of people go through a similar thing where it's kind of a bit of a bummer at the start because you start working out like what's realistic within your budget and what's not, and you kind of have to let go of some things that you've always wanted because they're just not feasible for you, and it will be lovely anyway, but in a different way. Anyway, I'm so happy to be back to my evening of book stuff, to like fill my cup up a little bit again after way too many hours staring at a spreadsheet. So it is now 8:30, so it is quite late. I've made myself the largest mint tea known to man. We've even lit a candle because we're gonna spend the next hour just having like cozy bookish time. Going through the bookshelf, you can see I've literally just got all of those books all over the shop here. I would love to, before the end of the day, just get all of this organised. Where is my to-do list? Let's revisit this. Ooh. I can tick off haul, and that is as far as we've got today. Bookshelf clean and dust. Let's do that now. Let's give this whole thing a little bit of a dust. I might not be the thorough spray that I was planning to give everything, but I do have, which I've been so excited to use, this little duster, which Cameron thinks is so unnecessary of a purchase and thinks it's hilarious. And this could either be like the most genius thing I've ever bought, or just like a total waste of, I think it was a tenner, a total waste of £10. But I bought myself a little bookshelf for the duster so I can like dust my books on the shelves, and look, for the shelves that are high up, I can like reach all the way up the top to dust it. So I will link this little duster just in case there are some of you out there that think this is genius. It's just like a little mini one for books and to like get in cracks of things. So I'm gonna dust the bookshelves now and then get all of these organised onto the shelves, and then we'll do a little bit of a review of our bookish goals for the rest of the year. And I think that is a very nice thing to do. The little candle, mint tea, dust some books, reorganise things. Just being with the books feels nice, you know? I'm sure it sounds completely wacky to some people, but there is something about just literally like touching and feeling a book that's just so, you can't describe it. You know what I mean? If you know, you know. Right, let's get cleaning. About to start putting that final lot back, and then I thought I wouldn't really bother because I'm now going to do the reorganisation part. This is your sign. I was like, I'm going to give it a dust, but I didn't really think it would be that dusty because there haven't been books on the shelf for that long, and I feel like I take them off and on a decent amount. It was dusty, guys. Not like fully crazy thick dust, but even in just a couple of months, I guess because it is right next to an open window, so maybe it kind of lets a bit of dust and pollution and stuff in. But this is your sign, and I can't wait to tell Cameron that my little purchase was not daft. It was actually very smart. So anyway, I'm now going to organise this. I'm going to try and basically sort things out into like romance, fantasy, other, or a little bit by author. I'm going to do a little bit of a fiddle with it now, reorganise things, and then I'll show you how I've decided to sort them all out once they're in place. But this is where we're up to. So I've now got a full shelf up here of basically fantasy and sci-fi, and I'm using The Ministry of Time and When the Moon Hatched as like big hardback bookends basically, because all of those ones in the middle want to fall over, and they are basically a mixture of books I've read and not read. I think there's so many ways you can organise a bookshelf, like either by what you've read, what you haven't read, or by genre, or by author. So it's a bit of everything on this bookshelf, to be honest, I'm learning. And then I've still got my Throne of Glass shelf. Honestly, I love this shelf so much. I think it's so nice, and because I've got the massive hardbacks, they really just take up their own space, which they truly deserve. And then I've got a bit of a romance shelf going on here. My ambition really is for this eventually just to be an Elsie Silver shelf entirely. I'm now missing a couple of those. We know we're missing like the entire series of this one. I've currently got my copy of Flawless gifted out to a friend, so I'll probably get that back in about a month or so. And then I've basically just put some of the new romances that I've got here that I want to read, and they just look so cute together. Heartstopper Better Than the Movies and then Not in Love. And then I've still got my ACOTAR shelf, which I'm also happy with. I feel like both ACOTAR and Throne of Glass just like deserve their own shelf. So happy with all of those. I've got these two displayed because they're my favourite, and then a Court of Thorns and Roses just to kind of like signify this is that shelf. This remains and continues to be a slightly bizarre mix of books that I just don't 100% know what to do with, and these colours just happen to go really nicely together. So I'm happy with all of those, and I put Freshwater for Flowers on the top on here, again, just because they all look quite nice together. Then I've shown you this one before. I'm not doing anything to change these ones. The colours go so nicely. Crescent City and Divine Rivals together, perfection. And then same thing with my Once Upon a Broken Heart series Stephanie Garber shelf. I'm very happy with that, just staying exactly how it always has been. And then this is my TBR shelf. So these are the books that I've read so far this month in physical copy. And then this is the list of books that I want to read. For now, I have put the Powerless, Powerful and Reckless trilogy situation on my TBR shelf to read soon. We'll see if I get to it soon or if I end up picking up some of the romances, I don't know. And then over here, again, like this is not very neat. I actually need to get this. It's like a diffuser to go on the shelf, but I bought it in spring, as you can see, and spring is over. So now I'm debating whether to just leave it for next spring. I probably just need to pack it away. But this is Emily Henry. I don't have Beach Read in here because it's currently sitting in my TBR thing over there. And then I'll need to pick up You and Me on Vacation. I should probably read that soon before summer finishes. But yeah, this is my Emily Henry section. I'm feeling very pleased about that. And then another slightly bizarre mix. I think I will put all of my Abby Jimenez books in here, but I read the other two this month, so they're missing from over here at the moment. And then I don't actually have the physical copies of my other Taylor Jenkins Reid books, so I've only got Malibu Rising, but for now I've put the Elle Kennedy and the Lauren Asher together. I can probably find somewhere slightly better for those to go eventually. And then I've still got my like mystery thrillers down there, neither of those of which I've read yet, the Mindfuck series and the reappearance of Rachel Price. They are definitely autumn reads and I'm very excited about them. But yeah, this is what it's looking like. We still have so much more space. I've still got my Taylor Swift shelf, which needs so much help and styling. And then this is like a little pile that I've got of all of my memories from this summer that I need to put into like a photo album or like a little box or something, and I just keep piling things up. It needs to actually go somewhere nice and not look so yuck. Anyway, this is where we're at. Okay, honestly I'm amazed we've still got light at this time. It's officially 9 o'clock, so that took half an hour. That's not too bad. Okay, right, we can now tick off bookshelf clean and dust. Okay, next on the list, let's talk about some of my bookish goals that I've got for the rest of the year. This is the definition of like fun goal setting, and this is not necessarily goal setting to move me further forward in life, which is normally what I do with my goal setting. My goal setting is normally associated to ambition, or it's associated to big life events I want to tick off. These are like truly goals for fun, and they're goals that will keep me enjoying my hobby more and more, which, I mean, that just sounds like the best kind of goal ever to me. It's a no pressure goal. There's only positivity that comes out of the goal. Goals that I've got. The first one is explore more genres. I feel like I've basically been saying that for the last month at the very least. It probably was a bit of a mistake to say that I wanted to explore more genres just before summer, because I always knew that I was going to read a lot of romance books in the summer. It's just, there's something about it. Summer is just like a very romance heavy, vibey time for me. So I definitely will keep reading romance throughout the year. I know it's going to always be quite a dominant genre for me, but I definitely want to explore some more. I'm very, very excited to get into like thriller, mystery, maybe even like a little bit of horror as we head into spooky season in October. I would love to do a little bit more of that. I'm so ready to get back into fantasy. I feel like I've definitely had the longest break from fantasy that I've had since the beginning of the year over the last month, and I'm ready to be back, which is why I think Powerless might be my next read. I'm ready to go for it. And then I've got that whole shelf up there now of so many fantasy books that I need to get into. Six of Crows I'm so pumped for. Red Rising I cannot wait to start. When the Moon Hatched, Ministry of Time, One Dark Window. Honestly, I feel like there are so many bangers of fantasy books up there that I feel like I'm gonna have a very good autumn season of reading fantasy books, but we're still in summer for now. We're gonna do Powerless, which, as far as I understand it, is basically romantasy. Like, it's definitely romance as part of the fantasy, for sure, as far as I'm aware. So I feel like that ticks both fantasy box and the romance box. So explore more genres is definitely a really big one. The next one is to start a reading journal. I so want to do this now. Thank you so much to those of you that have heard me mention that I want to start one and have sent me all this like inspo from like Pinterest and like a few Instagram reels and stuff. I've honestly been loving it. Some people have such incredibly beautiful reading journals. Like, wow, they are amazing. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to produce these hugely artistic, like kind of graphically curated journal books, but I do really want to be a bit more pen on paper, getting back to the days of childhood where you'd craft, you know, like arts and crafts. I think there's something so pure in crafting in that way, or just doing something with your hands. And whenever I see anybody that has a skill or expresses themselves through their hands, whether it's knitting or crocheting or painting or drawing or playing an instrument, I just think there's something so beautifully pure in it. And I don't have any of those skills, but I reckon I could create a nice looking book journal and just enjoy some arts and craftsy kind of time at the end of each month to document my reading journey and all the things that I've loved reading for that month. So start a reading journal. I think I'm gonna start the reading journal from the 1st of September, and I'm gonna basically spend the month of August choosing which journal I want, ordering stickers and getting pens. Like, I don't have any craft stuff, and I'd love to create like a little craft box that I keep my journal in, and I keep all my like felt tips and stickers and glues and anything else that I want to use on the journal in that little box, and I can keep that on my reading shelf, and then I can kind of get started with it in September to document August. I think that's going to be the plan. So I'm going to have that as a proper goal to collect and buy and start pulling together all of my reading journal supplies and actually pick the book that I want my reading journal to be. And the next one is to complete my reading goal. This should happen. I feel relatively confident we can make the reading goal. I think at the moment I'm still a book or two behind, but that's not very much, to be honest. I feel confident that I can catch up with that, and I think I will catch up with that once the days get shorter and it all gets darker. I think I've mentioned that, so I'm happy with that, but I just do want to keep that as a goal to complete it. For those of you that don't know or haven't seen, I've got a reading goal of reading 90 books this year by the end of the year, and I think at the moment I'm on about 46, 47 or something like that. So I'm a tiny bit behind, but nothing too crazy. And I mean, it blows my mind. I didn't read last year. I mean, I think probably last year I read 8 books, 7 books, 8 books, something like that. And I've gone from reading kind of like 1.5 books a month-ish to reading 90 in a year. It's insane. So yeah, I want to tick off my 90 book reading goal. And then the final one is to connect with more people from the bookish community and just more people that love reading the way that I do, and just be able to chat to you guys more in the comments and talk more about all of our favorite books. If any of you watch other like booktubers, or if any of you have any of your favorite book talkers, like let me know who they are, because I want to start integrating more into that community and getting to know more people in the booktube, book talk, bookstagram community, because it's just the coolest, nicest corner of the internet in my opinion. So yeah, I want to start putting more connections online, because I don't have many friends that are kind of feral readers the same way I am. So yeah, please let me know who your favorite people are to watch online so I can start watching them too. And I think that is it. I think that is all of my goals. That's 4 goals for the rest of the year when it comes to bookish related stuff, and I feel really good about those. They're all fun, they all make me feel happy. They slightly like challenge me in the direction of my hobby, but nothing too like daunting or anything like that, so that's really nice. But yeah, I think that is it on the goals front. Up next, I'm gonna get myself some more of my tea first. Up next, I wanted to talk about a few of the books that I've read recently and give you my reviews of them. So I mentioned in my Mallorca bookish vlog that I read Alive and Wells by Bailey Hannah, and I have also since read Seeing Red by Bailey Hannah, and they were both so good. Honestly, I really recommend, without a doubt, if you are looking for new cowboy romances after you've read Chestnut Springs, which is still my favourite for sure, I really recommend Alive and Wells, and Seeing Red was also so good. I honestly would give both of them, I might even give Seeing Red like 4.25, or maybe I give both of them more than 4.25. I need to reflect on exactly what rating I'm going to give them, but I thoroughly enjoyed them, and I'm definitely going to get the next one. The next one's out on the 24th of September, but yeah, I can concretely say genuinely really good. And then I stuck to my theme and I then read Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This was like not as good, unfortunately. This one, look, I did enjoy it. I read the whole thing, I didn't DNF it. It wasn't worthy of a DNF. And there was something really sweet about the MMC, the male main character. Like, I think Luke was great. I mean, so was she, to be fair. The female main character was good as well. I think the writing was a little bit, it felt to me, you know when you like know you're reading? I always say when a book makes me feel like I know I'm reading, it's not a winner, because books should make me forget that I'm reading. It should feel like I'm literally immersed in their world. To me, this felt a little bit like somebody was given the formula of a cowboy romance book and in kind of like a bullet point list and like went through and ticked them all off. I'm not really sure if anything truly happened in this. Like, to me, this was about a boy and a girl that liked each other, and that was that. And I was like, that's not complicated, and it's definitely not dramatic. There wasn't really any kind of true heartfelt, heart-throbby, like there was not much yearning. I know sometimes there's like a third act breakup, which people don't really love, but I think there should be some kind of third act tension that makes you feel like, oh my gosh, will they, won't they, even if you know they will. But just something that adds a depth or a complexity to their relationship, that tests them and tests their boundaries of communication and how they navigate the complexities of life to see if their like love conquers all, if you know what I mean. And anyway, I don't know, I just feel like this was just lacking in quite a few ways. I think the writing was just, it just didn't feel very sophisticated to me. It felt like it was missing the mark slightly. Anyway, so I'd probably give this 3. Yeah, 3 seems fair. It would be not fair to give it anything less than that, to be honest, because I did enjoy it and I did read the whole thing. Maybe it could even have a 3.25. And on that note, this is going back a little bit, but I've been thinking so much lately about Butcher and Blackbird. I gave Butcher and Blackbird 2.5 and I finished it and I felt very icky about the book. And I was like, nah, something about that just did not suit me. It was not up my street, no. But then why can I not stop thinking about it? That can't be right, you know? In my head, a 2.5 is a book that I never think about again, and like it's gone from my radar. And I weirdly keep thinking about it, but it's not like I keep thinking about it thinking, oh, that was amazing. There's just something about the plot or the storyline or the concept that was genuinely interesting. I've seen they're gonna make it into a film. Basically, I think my conclusion is I'm definitely gonna watch the film, but I'm not gonna read the next book. Maybe that's where I'm at. Maybe I will read the next book in the autumn, winter, maybe I'll feel pulled back to it. Anyway, all I'm saying is that maybe my Butcher and Blackbird review was a little bit harsh. I'm feeling a pull to reread it at some point, just to see if I've got that wrong. Anyway, I've got more than enough books to get through before I need to get to the point of actually rereading any. Right, let's do another check of the list, because I think we're there, you know, guys, right? We can tick off bookish goals, tick off the reviews that I wanted to do with you. We've done the bookshelf clean and dust, we've done the reorganization, and we've done the haul. Tick, tick, tick. We love it when we tick off a to-do list, and I actually can't believe I've managed to get it all done today. We love it when we're productive. It is now 9:15, which is officially my bedtime. It is decently early. I'm thinking I might take Powerless to bed now and go and officially start it. I need to hunt down the tandem read guide that I think I saw on TikTok. I'll see if I might have even screenshot it. If I find it, I'll pop the screenshot up here and I'll tag the person that did it, because obviously I can take no credit for working out how to do that tandem read. But I might crawl into bed, pick up Powerless and Powerful at the same time, start my tandem read, and I will let you all know in the next one how I'm getting on with it, because I know that Powerless is just one of those, it's one of those, what's the right word? Well, my brain's gone blank, but like a proper viral book that everybody loves. It feels like it's heading in the direction of the ACOTAR hype. Hyped books. It's a hyped book. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah, let me know if you've read it already. Let me know if it's on your TBR list. But otherwise, thank you so much for spending a very bookish day with me today. Honestly, I've had such a nice one. I love it when I get to have these days. I hope you all have the loveliest, loveliest week, and I truly cannot wait to see you in the next one. Bye guys.